Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, whether you are watching us on YouTube, X, or Rumble. I hope you're having a fine evening. Quick couple of things to get rid of before we start the show. You know, the usual thing. I want you to like the video. You might as well do that right now. Just right now, whatever platform you're looking at, just make sure you hit the like thing. If you are listening to this after the fact on the audio podcast that you can get on Spotify, iTunes, and all the other places that, you know, if it's not on what you listen to podcasts on, listen to podcasts on something else because you listen to it on a stupid thing. Give us a 5-star review. 5-star reviews are very important. They will get us up to the top of the tree on this subject or whatever other subject we happen to be like tagged into. It doesn't matter what you say. It's just about the stars, and it really does help. That helps just as much as a share, to be perfectly honest. And it would be really good if we could get the audio show out to more and more people. If you want to part with some cash, you can become a channel member. You can do the whole patron thing. We are hoping to get a local set up soon. You can drop us some super chats to the show and ask some questions, obviously, because it's not like we'll only speak to you if you pay. It comes up in a different color. So because in a different color, we'll definitely see it. You can also go to our merch store and pick up one of these insanely amazing t-shirts. We have some more t-shirts coming on the way. I swear we have like an Illuminati inspired one, which will get all of the right bits of you fizzing. You can get Bigfoot on vacation. You can get MH370 didn't disappear itself, which has been very popular so far. You can get the Orb Bigfoot t-shirt, and you can get the Fairy Lee t-shirt, which is my personal favorite because I am sat on some sort of Captain America style mushroom. I definitely would wear those clothes. He's got cool arm tats, probably slightly cooler than the real Lee, and it's dripping the chrome from the bottom of it. It's ace. So yeah, go buy one of those. Go buy some of the other stuff. Just help us do this full time. David, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm all right. I'm getting there.
I'm glad. I'm good.
Oh.
Everything we haven't immediately like fell into some sort of global conflict. So
Yeah.
that's good. Another week has gone past and there's no conflict. So I'm taking that as a huge win.
There's definitely conflict.
I can't help but think that this show is just going to get to that point where it's like, oh, we've done it. We've fucking done it. We're going to be doing this full time. And then like all the nukes are going to go off.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Did you tell them about the t-shirts?
I did tell them about the t-shirts.
Did you tell them we're going to switch over some of them to not switch over, but add in hoodies as well? Because we've had multiple requests.
Yeah, we will add in some hoodies, maybe some other bits and bobs if you so request them. We're not going to go crazy with all like the stuff because it's hard to find stuff, hard to get through, and we want you to be able to buy the good stuff. What we will probably end up doing as well is like we said ages ago, is start swapping some of the designs out and replacing those designs with new designs. So I would suggest that if one of the first designs we put up, like the vacation one and the MH370 one, if you want one of those, go and get it now, because I'm going to guess within the next 2 weeks, we might drop a couple of those out and add some new stuff in. They will come back eventually, but we're going to rotate shit just because it works easier. Other than that, I think that's the business side out of it.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah.
Is anyone wearing pants or no pants? We need a new tag for the show. Pants are optional.
Pants are optional, always.
Always.
Tops are optional, really. I mean, as long as your nipples are covered,
and you have less than 3 or less.
Yeah, you got. I would. You've got to allow 3 because that means Scaramanga can watch. Man with the golden gun.
I don't think I saw that one.
It's one of the best. He had 3 nipples. One slap bang. Was it slap bang in the middle of his chest?
I don't know. I think it's interesting that that's what you're holding on to from that movie.
No, well, there was also the
That's
midget.
a lot to unpack there.
It was the
How old were
midget.
you when you saw it?
I mean, do you want it by the hour?
I can take that. Were you an altar boy?
Yeah.
Start looking for the correlation here.
To be fair, I am. I don't get the attraction with James Bond. I don't get it.
Dude, when it comes to movies, I am weird in that like crappy sci-fi B movies. I'm all about like ridiculously terrible effects, just kind of horrible plot lines. I'll watch that. Most like acclaimed movies, I usually hate them. And I haven't seen a lot of the Bonds. Just haven't. Not my thing.
I'm not going to read this out because it will probably get the channel into trouble. Whoops, not that one. I hate it when they move. When they move and all of a sudden you click and you've committed to the click. Just saw an interesting breaded fence documentary on YouTube. I want to know what that's called because I find that really interesting if all of a sudden that starts to creep its way onto YouTube again.
Yeah, and they let that happen.
I mean, the fact that would become that sort of stuff would be coming back on there's a conspiracy in itself there.
It's an interesting topic, and there's a lot of really good stuff out there on it. Some of it's crazy, some of it's not. I mean, the whole thing's kind of wild. But it is, as one of the 3 platforms we're streaming on is YouTube, which is arguably our biggest. We can't talk about that. Let's find a different topic.
Yeah, it's
like sex cults or death cults, or
it's kind of a sex cult and kind of a death cult.
I know, but we need a different name. And we're in the gold. We already talked about the golden age of cults. We need a T-shirt. Golden Age of Cults.
Yeah, my mate messaged me saying, like, he said, if that's not a band name, nothing is.
Dude, I have friends of mine that watch the show and they're like, that shit was hilarious. Like, Golden Age of Cults. And it's true. It was the Golden Age of Cults. Anyone could start one back then.
I tell you what, I did see there was I can't remember who it was. It was a pop star of the pop variety. One of which I'm clearly too old to know who she was. But on her like what she was wearing, she had a psyop written over her fanny bits.
Is this someone I would know?
I don't think I don't know. Like it's I imagine I'm guessing it's if you're under the age of 20, you're not gonna you're gonna probably be pretty into it. I don't know if it's like I nearly had the name then. It's gone.
Start with a T.
I don't know
because we can't say that name. You can't even Google it on X.
No,
Google it on X. You can't search it on X. Google on X. My brain's not working.
Oh, apparently that video is 6 years old. I wonder how that slipped the net. It's interesting.
About that.
Yeah. Raw Emotion said share. I bloody hope not. Because she was not wearing a lot of clothes, and that would be pretty grim. Yeah, the whole not being able to like search the Swift is
it's interesting, right?
I mean, do you know like the CIA had put an official press release out? Did you see that?
Yeah,
they put an official press release out saying in no way is the Swift connected to the CIA in any form. And you go, well, if you have to say it,
who is even asking this question?
Ice Cube has come out over the weekend as well and said that rap music was a CIA.
Absolutely.
A psyop. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
I mean, anyone paying attention knew this, but the fact it's being said is it's pretty interesting. I like of all the people like Ice Cube he has been fucking based, for a long time.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting as far as that goes. Because again, it's one of those things. If you look at it, you know, how many rappers like gangster rap? How many of them were actually gangsters? It's just not. It's a bunch of people who were, you know, most likely to succeed or whatever, came from good homes, or who become these rappers and put on a persona, and then they don't write any of their music. They don't write their own beats. Yeah.
It's
That's everything.
It's weird for me because, like, obviously, well, it's weird for everybody. But if when you start thinking about it, because it almost makes everything WWE, because you've got to, like, suspend your disbelief to watch WWE. But in the same way now, I think I mean, I enjoyed, as a movie, I enjoyed Leave the World Behind. I thought it was a interesting, well made, well written, psychological dystopian thriller, whatever we want to call it. But you've kind of got to, if you want to watch it and enjoy it, you've got to forget the fact that this is trying to program you with some shit. And then if you forget the fact it's trying to program you with some shit, it's probably a really good way of getting yourself programmed.
It's funny that this is the direction we're going, because you and I and Ollie have all been rewatching the X-Files. And that's very interesting, especially that first season. Like early on, I think it's episode 2 or 3, when they're investigating the pilots, right? These pilots that are allegedly flying experimental hybrid technology craft and or alien craft, or, you know, not necessarily alien craft, but unknown craft. And it's causing them physical effect. It's hurting their minds and their brains. It also delves into like the military industrial complex, wiping people's memories of these things and messing with people's lives and threatening them. But it's also talking about how it's hurting pilots. And that's something we heard Grush talk about, like service members being hurt in and around these things, pilots that had been hurt in and around these things. And they were talking about that in like X-Files season 1, episode 2 or 3. That's interesting. There's a lot of stuff I've noticed there that was in the early on X-Files that today you have whistleblowers talking about in a mainstream way. And
what got me was the season where they talked about taking a small group of people in a town in the US and inoculating them with alien DNA.
See what happened.
Yeah, and the way around that happened, I thought, oh, it's not ideal.
That was a theme through there too, especially in later seasons, like the jabs, inoculations, the bits of virus that they were using to alter people's DNA. Like, didn't they find a bunch of altered and mutated people in that train car that was buried? I forget which season that was. That was a big deal. That was interesting. Like, and then you're like, oh, that's kind of there. And now you're like, wait a minute, what the hell? You know, it was interesting. I see Rotary Motion put that it was radiation. So in the X-Files episode, they didn't say it was radiation. They actually said it was the trauma of flying the craft and the physics of the craft, which I find very interesting. Here's perfect conspiracy. Ab is a psyop I can get into. I don't think I can. I think the band's got all the members it wants, but it's cool that you know somebody. Get us some tickets, man.
It just makes you wonder how long these things have gone on, as far as would that fall under Project Mockingbird?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. So wasn't folks shouting COVID jabs or taking your DNA? Well, I don't know. I didn't hear anyone shouting that it was taking it. I did know that, you know, talking about injecting random RMNA bits into people was changing their DNA. And yeah, it's definitely under Mockingbird, because we know for a fact that. Yeah, we know for a fact different CIA consultants have worked in movies and everything for a very long time. They've been a part of it. Like, it's not like even a conspiracy. It's fact. And the CIA plays roles in that. They help get books published. They ghostwrite for people. They produce movies, like they do, you know, give funding to startup organizations. Yeah.
Just quickly for Roach Motion down here, the where the boxes of used needles go. I think that's a step too far. Because it we're the a bunch of samples of people
Random.
I can't see being useful. You know, it's because
Yeah.
that could happen anywhere. It could happen anywhere, and don't forget you're just putting them into those like sealed containers, so they're getting contaminated with each other. There is no lack of cataloged DNA for people because enough people have put themselves forward to it, and then on top of that, it's even without it being like a medical thing. Um, you think about how many people have done like 23andMe and whatever the other thing. Yeah, you see, I was close. I like I nearly did. I wouldn't do it now, just thinking it like because I think of how odd it is just to randomly like give samples of your fucking DNA to people. Um, but
They already have it.
well, this is the thing. I mean, we've all given blood. We've all had blood tests. So I don't.
So like when I did it for a reason. Like I don't know a lot about the back history of my family, and there I had questions and I wanted answers. And I, for the most part, like I wanted, especially 23andMe, they do a deep health diagnostic, and people are like, well, in the future that could impact your, in America, health insurance. Like, well, burn that bridge when you get there. And I went ahead and did it, and it gave me all the answers. And by the way, if anything, it should only make my health insurance go down, so I'm not susceptible to any of those things. And I'm not worried about being cloned because I'm Rh negative, baby.
You see, this is the problem, isn't it? Because I was watching a video. I've watched a couple of reviews of the product now, but there was a really good one of the the tech YouTuber. Someone help me in the comments. He's got like a hair lip. He's got a squished in nose. He's like the most. He's mega famous, like millions of subscribers. And he's the most unlikely YouTube star when you look at him. And I mean no disrespect, but it's I mean I say no disrespect. I basically just called him ugly. But he did a product review type use thing of the Apple Pro, this new Apple AR headset. Now, his review is different because obviously everyone's been in like nice lit rooms explaining what it does and stuff in the usual YouTube thing. This guy just fired his headset on, someone followed him with a camera, and he went tramping around New York for the day, wearing the thing. And he was saying like and immediately when I was watching it, because obviously he was recording from inside his headset as well, that so he's waiting for the tube, and he had a YouTube video like hanging in the air that he was watching, or his messages were coming in and stuff like that. And it was only at that time I thought, well, obviously it's a big ski goggle thing you're walking around with. It might not be going to happen right now, but like I haven't felt like something's going to change something as much as watching that as I did when I saw when I first held an iPad, and I thought, oh, this is a much better way to look at websites than sitting behind a computer or looking on a laptop. And this is to bring it back round. I love the idea of that. Like, I love the idea of having that level of technology and integration into your surroundings, so you can, if you're sat on your own on a bus or a plane, and you're going to be a few hours, you can have like your personal theater around you, so you can watch Netflix. You can have face-to-face conversations with people while they're thousands of miles away and feel like you're in the same room as them. The technology is remarkable and will borderline magic at times. The problem is the hands of the people that it's in. Because a sword isn't fucking necessarily evil. It just depends who's got it, who happens to have it in their hands, as like what it ends up doing. And it makes me sad that we have all these things where like you say with the 23andMe thing, for instance, we could do the whole fucking sequencing people and working out what's going to hurt them and what they're allergic to and what nutrients they can do to cram an extra 30 years of like good life out of them, like good quality life. But we can't do those things because the people that are running the show seem to be psychopaths.
I don't know. I don't know that they're psychopaths. That's the thing where I just don't know. But I mean, yeah, anything can be used for bad, anything at all. But to get to here, isn't there a blood type that's new to us? Green eyes, red hair, something. So that's all those characteristics are typically associated with Rh negative, and it's not that that's new. I think as it goes, it's like so you got O, A, and B, and then AB, and then you have positives and you have negatives. Negatives are like 15% of the population. They're rare-ish. Everyone else, all the positives are 85%, and then it breaks down from there. Certain areas have more than others, and there's certain characteristics that go with it. But the thing is, you never really hear anyone talk about why there's a positive and negative because you don't see that anywhere else in the animal kingdom. That's just not a thing. O is because blood mutates the slowest. It's the slowest thing to mutate. O is believed to be original, and then you got A and B, and then A and B together. So A and B would be the newest one, whether it's positive or negative. It would be the latest mutation. But again, the fact is, there's a positive and a negative. Like that's shouldn't be. It's the D antigen, I believe, the fixer for the D antigen. Yeah. So this is a very good one because I have a bunch of kids. I can answer this very easily.
Rotary Motion said, "Is it RH plus and RH negative that can have a baby normally? Well, one fights the other in the womb."
Yeah, that's what I clicked up here because I can. I have a bunch of kids. So what it is this is where it gets crazy, right? If the male is RH negative and the female is RH positive, no issue. RH positive to RH positive, no problem. RH negative to RH negative, no problem. If the female is RH negative and the male is RH positive, there will be problems. If the baby comes up with a positive blood type and her blood barrier around the womb has been broken before, her body will have antigens to it. So you can get the first kid out usually. It's the second one you're going to run into issues with. So you find that the Rh negative women, their antibodies will fight against the positive child in them, which is very weird. That's where the Rodan shot came in. And they would give that to women to suppress their immune systems. That's why the blood testing and all that mattered. Yeah, because I'm Rh negative, my wife's Rh positive, so we're aware of that. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing. Yeah, it's very, very bizarre. It's almost like Rh negatives were put in like an infiltration, right? To spread slowly. Like the Rh negative males can breed with the Rh positive women, but the Rh negative women have difficulty with the Rh positive men. So it allows for one to push out the other, if that makes sense. It's interesting. It is very interesting. And there's like all the royal families, those are all Rh negative. The vast majority of CEOs, executives, things like that, Rh negative blood types. It's very weird. It's a very weird thing. Yeah. Some people put it as what is it? The leftover of the Nephilim. Like that's that trace that's running through the world. And if you listen to the clowns, right? Rh negatives are associated with that bright red hair, pale skin, light colored eyes.
Yeah, that was an interesting podcast we did with.
It was. I was. Yes, it's interesting.
Yeah. No. I think you can say what you're going to say because I'll probably agree with that.
I was really looking forward to it. I like his stuff. I've watched a bunch of it. He seems like a very interesting dude. And as I think if you watch this show, you know about me that I'm down for any conspiracy. Like I'll dig right in. It just didn't go quite the way I thought it was going to go. I was caught off guard by that. I'll say that. I was caught off guard by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe when you research something so much, which he's clearly putting the time in, and I'm sure like for what he's doing, his book is going to be extensive in
Yes.
what he's doing. But I think you can kind of lose somewhere that you're speaking to people that are coming into this from an entry point. And I think that might have been part of the problem with that show. And the other one is I think you can also get into the point if you laser focus on one thing for so long, you can convince yourself you're right, and like you're 100% right just because you've done so much of this. So it could be it's a big ego knock to go, I've spent this much time on it, and I still don't 100% know what's going on.
So I have this thing like, and I've said it on here before, whenever I hear someone talk about this, they're stating facts. This is how it is, right? This is how it is. I get nervous, right? Like not nervous. That's the wrong word.
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah. My gut's like start disregarding. And there's so many people that come from like it's passion, it's involvement. They're preaching their faith, right? They're evangelizing. Because when you start hearing people say this is it, you're evangelizing now. You're no longer speculating. We're not having a conversation. You're trying to convert me and anyone else who's choosing to be here for whatever reason. And that's the wrong way to go with this, right? It's like scientism. It's the vax or whatever. It's like, oh, this is how it is. And you're just like, you don't know that. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Like, but how? They don't have that answer. And I speculate about everything. I have no problem with that. There's only a few things I actually really hold on to. And I usually think I do a very good job of keeping that to myself. Because at the end of the day, I don't really know. I can't present you with this little gold-plated piece of evidence. So at the end of the day, it's just my belief. I'm not trying to evangelize anybody here. But yeah, man, that's it. I find too much of that is bordering into, or is crossing the border into like an evangelical mindset. And I've just seen it so much. And it kind of shuts me off to the conversation. I'm always polite because there's never really a reason to be too rude unless you're backed into that corner. I'll just go with it, That's fine. But
there's a lot of evangelizing in the alt space because essentially I think you're dealing with people that have lost faith. Essentially, as a conspiracy theorist, especially if you're going down the like deep state type road, you have lost faith in the people that are supposedly have your best interest at heart and are trying to, just trying to run the place well enough for you to get ahead, and you've lost faith in that. So it's easy to draw those people, with answers like, so look, you've been lied to by those people, but I'm going to tell you the truth. I can give you the lowdown on this.
Yeah, that's it. They're evangelizing. Well, I like this. This is kind of what we're talking about, right?
Red hairs. Sorry, go on, Dave.
So red hair is connected to the Nephilim. Well, Ollie and Lee are on that spectrum, I guess. Ollie has those freakishly small hands, and Lee has that perfectly symmetrical head. It's weird that you're paying that much attention to Lee's face.
It is weird he's paying that much attention to my space, especially when I've got this big Nephilim dick here.
In line with the ratio. I like how he left me out of that. Says where Moody and I stand, I guess.
Nephilim dick's going to be a t-shirt. Yeah. So the Scots, the real master race, maybe DW, maybe.
Unlikely. Unlikely. Because the thing is, like, so, like, the Celtic societies, right? You get that in there. Well, it's Irish or it's Welsh or it's Scottish or it's whatever. And they like the Celtic symbols and burial grounds are found in southern France, right? From X number 1,000 years ago. That population group that migrated through Northern Europe went all the way to the end. And there's an injection of that bizarre DNA, the Rh negatives that, where do they come from? It's a bizarre thing. It's a bizarre thing, especially when you look at where the highest concentration of it is located.
Where's that?
If you hadn't asked me, I could have told you. Dang, man. I swear, before I had children, I was a smart person. I was a smart person. I like
it's because kids.
The Basque region.
Yeah, it's because kids. Like, if you imagine your sanity and your intelligence like a bag of sand, they just take handfuls out of it, and just every fucking day, just take handfuls away from it.
It's unbelievable. No, the Basque people have the highest concentration of Rh negative, and they're in that little valley between France and Spain, I think. They got their own language. They have their own kind of belief structure. It's all pretty unique. And so I looked into that for a while. It's interesting. It's interesting because, again, anyway.
That Joe at my, because I've been doing it, like, no, I wouldn't say deep dive, but I've always got half an eye now on like ancient cultures and stuff like that, and it keeps drifting into my mind that's what happens. Whatever keeps the wheels going on the bus of Earth. It keeps me thinking, if there's been these resets, what if they're not like it? What if it's not natural what the resets are, and it's actually brought on by people? And because let's say this is just, we are on that. We've talked about the idea of a prison planet. We've talked about the idea of just fucking livestock being here, or even to the like simulation thing.
I feel like this is a reference to my forehead.
But what if as soon as humans get to a certain stage where we start trying to send rockets up, we start trying to like move
Escape. Trying to get off the prison planet.
Get off the prison planet, or even just like technology gives us this like instant communication, which we've got right now, in order so many people can speak to each other, and then you start breaking things down. That's when you start I mean, it could be nonsense, it could be real, but the like the whole Tartaria thing we talk about, sort of ancient civilizations, mud floods, stuff like that. What if you get to that point, and then whoever's behind the wheel goes, gonna stick you boys back to the Stone Age? You're getting far too close to learning about what's happened to the last like 8 rounds of use.
I have a lot of Neanderthal features, that's for sure. Yeah, it's a low impulse control. Took a long time to get a hold of it. But man, I agree. There's something going on, right? There's something. It makes me wonder that if, like, did we go on the wrong path with technology? What's that?
There's something going on, but also never more so. Do you know what I mean? It feels like everything's being ratcheted up, and realistically, like I know I blame technology for it there, but I mean, apart from we can do this slightly more reliably now, but we could live stream 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Yes. It's not like there's been this massive technological leap which has pushed all these ideas up. We have been in like instant communication has been a thing now for a minute. Yeah. So what's been the catalyst for the position we seem to be in now. Because I always go back to that point where people can't be it like you can either be like in the thick of being a conspiracy theorist, like everyone in the chat is, and we are, because we're doing this show and they're watching this show, or you can be the normie that works in the sandwich shop down the road. Everyone knows something's fucked to a certain amount.
I think the barriers to entry on it are cost. You know, you could do this 10 years ago, but it was cost prohibitive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's incredibly cheap. You can do it from your phone. You can, you know, it's a nothing burger. I mean, the reality is they had video calling in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, it's cost prohibitive. So everything's gotten cheaper as, you know, technology gets better. So you get more of that now. And I think part of that breaking down is it allows people to access more of these fringe topics, where before it was just us crazy people digging into it by any means necessary. Or maybe just, you know, not trusting anyone, which is, you know, very much me.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder though, like, if the technology we have chosen is the wrong technology and it has shortened our cycle somehow. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Like, the cycle of our civilization seems to be, there's some obvious bottlenecks ahead of us, right? Where you get these other older civilizations that built the pyramids or built whatever you want to point to on Earth, that were, you know, 50,000 years, or depending on who you talk to, potentially more, longer. We don't really know, right? How did they span that time? How did they span that time and leave so little impact? How did they build these things? What technology were they using? Because if it's us, we leave behind wrecks of machinery and equipment and lithium batteries and just everything associated with it. I mean, we have fiber optic cables in the bottom of the ocean to connect the internet worldwide, which is a whole nother conspiracy topic that's going to be held later for an interview. But yeah, like, did we, I don't know. Was that intentional? Was it unintentional? It's a very strange thing.
So it's almost like the civilization before us, if there was like a technologically advanced civilization before us, they were like a biodegradable society,
or maybe just natural materials. Everything's built out of stone. You know, it was better designed for water flow and systems. They're like, well, they used lead pipes, like the Romans used lead pipes. Yeah, as long as the water is constantly moving, lead isn't a problem. Not only that, the minerals from the water build up a natural protection on the inside. It's fine. That's crazy. Right? The problem came when they started using the pewter cups and add more and more lead, and then the wine and the acids, and it drove everyone crazy. It's I look at things like that, and it kind of boggles my mind. You know what else boggles my mind? The fact that you can look at so many different cultures that were involved in like animal sacrifice for their deities, whether it was the Jews or the various pagans around the world, whatever. And only in the last, you know, 1,000, 1,500 years have we kind of gotten away from that. That's not a common thing anymore. It used to be a very common thing. It was a common thing everywhere. Not anymore. You know, and it's something some of the cults I've had interactions with, and that's a different story for a different time. But that's a question I bring up to them. They're like, well, we follow these biblical teachings. It's like, cool. Where's your sacrificial animals, and where are you sending your burnt offerings, and how are you preparing them? Well, we don't do that. Then I feel like you're really not following the, you know, how this was laid out. But if you think about it, like, that was a normal part of worship in the day. And today, now we see that as, ooh, this isn't okay. But you know who's still doing it, allegedly? Our world leaders. They're still practicing these old ways. It's just the rest of us have stopped. For better or worse. Yeah.
Gavin, given Fox, sorry, just said, how much truth / answers are hidden in the Vatican. There's some, like, I believe there is some knowledge somewhere that takes us back to
like antiquity.
Yeah, even if it's not this idea of like cycles of like civilization, but I think not worrying thing, the disturbing thing about these things, these practices that are had. Like if you look at if the one we can reference easily would be the Bohemian Grove thing. We've mentioned it before. Is it the of care? What is it? The
cremation of care.
Cremation of care.
To Moloch.
Yeah. So the problem with people doing these things over and over and keeping these traditions going is that things like that only really stick around if they're beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, and see, I like this. Well, we've talked about this and I've had theories on this, that if there was some pact made, and this is a good question. This is a whole show's worth of question right here. I lean towards yes, but for different reasons. If there is some outside non-human intelligence, let's use the word everyone else is using, right? That's taking things and some kind of deal was brokered and they have to keep feeding people to it. War is the perfect cover. Nobody's paying attention to who disappears during war. And so long as your country's waging war in other places, it's not their people getting taken. It's someone else's. It's something that, I have no evidence of that. It's just something I put together in my head, and I don't know. We're up there with all the other schizophrenic thoughts.
Yeah. Someone just said that spirit binding is a real thing and mostly lost science. I don't know what that is.
Spirit cooking's definitely alive and well.
Yeah, no, I don't know what spirit binding is. So someone would have to smart me up to that, and if it's something I should look into.
Oh, something I should definitely look into. I appreciate this. Thanks, 12 Feet Tall. I really love this channel. It relaxes me and makes me think. That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we're trying to do this for.
Just nice break from Pornhub.
I like this. Human trafficking, where are they all going? Antarctic, not just war, earthquake, disasters. I wonder that too. Where are they all going? That's
and it's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
I was amazed. I haven't got the numbers off the top of my head, but is there something like 600,000 people go missing in America every year?
That's what they say, but the thing is, a lot of those numbers, like if someone runs away multiple times, they keep getting reported.
Right. Okay.
And you don't necessarily close it out. So call it 200. Right.
Right. That's good. Cool. I get that.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, it's a huge number, but it was a ridiculously high number in the UK as well. So for the same amount of people. But you can probably do the same thing again. You can half it.
Yeah, and I think it's easier than we think, man. Like I just recently found out in my state, there's 9,000 kids in foster care. That's unbelievable. Those are displaced children with nowhere to go. Getting bounced around. They're just in the system and they get lost in the system. 9,000. How many of them are slipping through that no one notices? They just vanish because no one's looking.
Well, that's what I said this to you. And again, somebody smarter than me might have the answer to this. But after the Second World War, we were well aware of what the baby boomer generation, and it was kind of like a way of nature righting itself. We lost a load of people, we made a load of people. But I find it weird that we had so many children that were left behind. We sent them all to the countryside in the UK, for instance. And the parents went away and they lost 1-2 parents, and in huge numbers. I'm confused as to how that generation wasn't essentially an orphan generation. We should know loads of, or our parents should know that our parents should know loads of their parents' friends that were orphans.
They probably do. They just probably don't talk about it.
Maybe.
You don't talk about horrible things. Most people don't.
Mm.
You just keep that to yourself and you roll on and you try and make something better.
Maybe. I just I find it weird that we don't refer to it as like the orphan generation.
It's kind of a horrible name.
It would be another
Oh.
good band name.
I like Degenerate Orphan. Yeah, so here you go. My mother was an orphan boomer kid.
Okay, thanks for that. Didn't have to prove me wrong so quickly.
I appreciate it. I like it.
Yeah, fact checking real
keep that
time.
up for the rest of the show. Keep referencing
it. From now on, if you're going to prove me wrong about something I say, I will only read it out of your super chat.
I'll read it out if I see it. Maybe. Yeah, it's I wonder about that a lot. Like, the different reports we hear of the alleged UFO craft moving cases of bodies, and then you have the Herrera talking about they're using these people underground as like psychic spies, and that whole story is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we have to use them because they haven't been, indoctrinated or exposed. I don't believe that. I think they're grabbing people that nobody knows about or nobody cares about from countries that can't do anything about it and could care less. That makes sense. The rest of it didn't make sense.
Mm.
It's like, why are these, face rippers, peelers, whatever, in Peru? Because nobody cares. You do whatever you want down there. You wipe that whole village off. No one would know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one would know. It wouldn't make any headlines.
It makes me wonder. There was a video in Wild West YouTube days. I've never been able to find it since. I've looked all over the place. It's definitely one of those videos that, for whatever reason, whether it was somebody that put it up, just took the channel down, it went. I find that difficult to believe because it was a pretty cool video.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a person walking through the woods, and over the like the brow of the hill, there was this. It looked like a transformer. When you see the transformers going off, and they ran up to the top of the hill, looked over the hill. You couldn't see anything because the light was so bright, flashing all blue and off. And then they looked it the other way. And the story was from the video for next day that they went back to that place and an entire village had disappeared. And I've always found it weird that of all of the videos, that one stuck in my head. So it must have been interesting to stick in my head. And it's just disappeared. It's just completely disappeared.
Try the Wayback Machine.
I don't know what I'd be looking for, though. The Wayback Machine won't keep videos, though, will it? It'll tell you that something. No, it'll tell you there's something there, but I don't think it keeps videos.
I don't know. I'm not technologically savvy anymore. I had kids, and then I started getting stupid. Every one of them, man. I just got dumber and dumber as it went. Oh, well, I can keep trying out hope. On a personal brag, I actually participate every week in a trivia game with some of my friends. And so, it's one of my friends and a bunch of his friends. And we actually won. And winning in our area with as many PhDs and brilliant people there are, it's a flex. we get a couple every year. So that's, rub it in their genius faces. I got 2 doctorates. Yeah. Well, you didn't know Maine was closer to Africa than Florida is. So eat me. Yeah.
I like this comment from Old Shoe. Everything's true, nothing is as it seems. It does feel like being a conspiracy theorist does seem to be paying off these days.
What? Is this true?
What's that?
If that's true, then I can't believe anything that's on there.
Who's that? Who's Taylor?
She's the wannabe reporter pain in the ass.
I don't know.
Uber liberal. It's to a point that it's just ridiculous. Like she is a caricature of the liberal reporter. It's kind of funny.
What is she, a TV
No,
anchor? No.
writer.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Used to be a big deal when Twitter was Twitter, and then when Elon bought it, she just kind of faded away because no one was artificially pushing all her bullshit.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
You see, that's the thing. I struggle to work out, apart from like a small amount of people, right, and like a really small amount of people, who reads this bullshit? You know, the really crazy far left stuff. Who actually reads that? And goes, oh, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Who watches mainstream news? Who's really doing that?
Yeah.
Who's doing that to themselves?
I must get home, put the TV on at 10 o'clock, see what's going on in the world. I miss those days. I miss it.
Are you getting lied to, or the ignorance, the bliss of ignorance?
The ignorance.
Bliss of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing any better. I see. I've never trusted the government. I've always known I was lied to, man. I've always known they're out there, bro. They're out there.
Yeah. I mean, I've always... I suppose I have, to a certain extent, because I've always had a pretty big distaste for the BBC.
That's right. You guys have like TV licenses bullshit that's like literally programmed by the government. Like over here, we have Project Mockingbird, where the CIA is trying to backdoor it, and there's the objective reality that no, it's all fair and equal. Look. And the reality is, we're just like you, where the government's shoving it down your throat.
Well, the funny thing was, do you know the nickname for the BBC in the UK?
I have one, but I don't think I should say it.
No, the nickname for the BBC in the UK used to be Auntie. Right?
Oh, not where I was going with that. I was going to use the B, and the C.
And I like the. It was only like maybe in my like late 20s when I thought about the like I mean, by auntie, I don't just mean like not the same. I mean auntie is in like your aunt type auntie. And I thought, how fucking dystopian is that? How dystopian is that to tune into the news so auntie can tell you what's true?
Oh yeah. So
that's straight out of 1984.
I think it's crazy. Like, we have Uncle Sam, but you called your government auntie.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
You guys started out straight cucked. We at least have an issue with our dysfunctional uncle, who we shouldn't be trusted alone around for various reasons. You just started.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even understand where that nickname came from either. But
what do Germans call theirs?
Pura.
I got so many weird fetishes coming out of there. I know it's got to be interesting. Like, you know, it's not normal. Whatever it is. It's a mistress.
It is weird. It's weird that we have a state-funded media company that it's supposed to be a public thing. It is clearly a government entity. Yeah. We're also told to be proud of it, not just enjoy it. We should be proud of the BBC. And constantly people tell you on the BBC, say, when it's gone, you'll never get something like the BBC again. I go, that's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm good. Right? I'll test this, and if I'm wrong, I'm terribly sorry, BBC. I'll build it myself brick by brick.
My entire circle only listens. This is from Given Ho Fox. My entire circle only listens to mainstream. It's crushing. That would be crushing. No one in my circle does that. No one.
Yeah, I don't.
Just like Ted Kaczynski wanted there, buddy. Good for you. I wish I was there as well.
Like, because I've unplugged from it so much, I don't take it for granted everybody else has. But I just think I fucking don't care if you have or not.
I've been off cable TV for 15 years now. Mm-hmm. Like, we've just had the internet and like a HDMI, and we that's how we would do it. And you know, I had hard drives, all our movies or TV shows back when the Pirate Bay was kicking, and that's just how we would do it. And I just
still is.
we can't talk about that. What is Moody coming up with? In Germany, it would be Der Dich. The German Michelle. You see, Germans just don't have the same sense of humor. The Germans don't have a sense of humor.
That's a fallacy. Germans have a fantastic sense of humor.
I don't know. I've never tried to tell them a joke.
Oh, it's great. It's dry as fuck.
Of course, a UK guy would think that's great. Like a good Michigan man. You best be careful up there in Michigan. FBI are looking to recruit for the next operation there, buddy.
What's that mean?
What?
Looking to recruit what?
So there was an orchestrated kidnapping of Governor Whittemore that the FBI busted up, and then it turned out most of the people involved were FBI informants, except for a handful. And they had actually tried to tell the local law enforcement and the FBI that these crazy people were talking about kidnapping the government, and they were unhinged, and they just ignored the fact that they were telling them, and then they arrested them for it. Yeah. There you go. I have some experience in Michigan up towards the UP. Yep. I've had a bunch of experience with different people in Michigan, but I can't talk about that on here. That's the German version of Uncle Sam. I don't think so.
Old Chew. My daughter was born in 1998. VCRs, cassette tapes. She's normal. My son was born in 2005. She does TikTok challenges. See,
hey, he used to be a Youper. You got any Youperite? Every time I've been up there, I didn't have the time because I was on contract. So I didn't have the time. So I was in northern Wisconsin at the border. And I didn't have time to go like look for Youperite. I always wanted to, but I couldn't leave the compound.
You got to fill me in with what the fuck Youperite is.
It's a mineral that they found in the UP on the Lake Superior side. And when you hit it with UV, it glows. Like I just kind of found it, and it's just cool. You hit it with UV light, and it glows. It's kind of cool. Okay. Yeah, it's super cool. Spread Eagle, Wisconsin. That's not where I was. I don't think they have a name for where I was. Damn, I'm lagging. Well, they make pills for that, Moody. They make pills for that. You'll be all right, buddy. Allegedly, that happens to everyone, not me. You've had that happen, Lee?
Nope, never.
No, well, it seems like you're a weirdo then, Moody. It's just you.
He's not a weirdo. He's just not a proper man anymore.
What's that?
I said he's not a weirdo. He's just not a proper man anymore. That's all.
I mean, they make a pill.
Sorry.
Nothing wrong with that. As far as going back to the conspiracies, we got off topic. Anyone got a conspiracy? Because we're way off topic. I barely speak English, Moody, let alone read it. I went to public school in the United States, man.
What were we talking? We were talking about conspiracy stuff before we got derailed.
I think someone was talking about the superior race, and you had a comment on it.
No, you don't.
No, I'm pretty sure that was it.
You were just hoping. You were hoping I had a comment on to kind of go back going. And, if anything, all I know is that white people are terrible.
Yeah, it's all people are terrible.
Yeah, right. It's our podcast just instantly pinged up on like the first page of YouTube.
Brett Weinstein on Tucker this week was chilling. I did not get to see that, man. This week, for about a week and a half now, I've been in like not paying attention to what's going on, and that's on me. I've had other things pressing urgency.
Tucker's an interesting cat right now, isn't he? I still can't quite get my head wrapped around the the Kevin Spacey thing.
That's weird, man. You know what else is weird is Elon Musk talking about a carbon tax.
What was this?
He's in favor of a carbon tax. We need a carbon tax.
Wow.
We need an intelligent one. It's like, dude, what's going on with you, Elon?
Yeah, you can't. This is the thing, isn't it? I mean, people keep saying, and I see I'm more than ready to be let down by people. I'm more than ready to be let down by Musk. I'm more than ready to be let down by any of the other people that you can throw into the public sphere, which have sort of dipped their toes into the alternate stuff now. It doesn't mean I don't have, like, you've got to have hope. You've got to have hope that people on the level. You can't think that everybody's a psyop, otherwise you're fucked. But it does. I mean, the thing is, I mean, that's what we can definitely talk about this week. First human trial of Neuralink. So, if it's the first admission of human trial for Neuralink,
that's a better way to say
it. Again, like that's the shit that scares me, because that's the point. That's the first step to not being human anymore.
I forget who it was. I think it was like Solar Storm or Science or Space Weather guy who was asking, like, so what happens when there's a coronal mass ejection and these things direct that energy into someone's head? It's going to fry the wires in your brain. I was like, he's right. He's like, no. I mean, if it's short, it's like, no. It's going to act as an antenna. Like, it melts wires off telephone poles. There's a chance it could melt this wire in your damn head. He's 100% right.
That's terrifying.
Dude, there's genuinely going in my head. No. No, I'm all natural. I'm staying that way.
I just can't believe that we seem to be skipping the wearable part of this. Like, all these things tend to go, or the idea of them has always been like wearable before they're in your body. Like, we have mobile phones, and now and again people keep saying, we could just like put a chip or something in your hand so you can put your hand to your face and you could use your phone like that. Which is great unless you want to watch a YouTube video. Yeah. But this goes straight to like brain computer interface. I mean, when you think about how quickly that will explode, you know, as soon as as soon as people go right, well. And then they learn to, like, well, if we do this, and this, we can kind of turn the vision off, but we can make you see what you want to. And that's when you jacked into the Matrix.
It's going to be like the breast implant, breast augmentation, like that, how it just exploded. How it was like, that was a pretty uncommon thing. And now it's done everywhere. Yeah. Thousands a day. Like, it's constantly happening. So many doctors, that's their specialty. There's lots of money to be made. And I think it'll be the same thing. Like, some of them will be good, some of them won't be good. You know, some are like, wow, you had an amazing doctor. Some are like, oh, whoa. Damn, I'm sorry.
This is what I think about the Apple Pro thing. Like, I think that's going to take next year. You will get, because it's like $4,000 right now, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah. 3,500, $4,000, something like that.
Next year, I bet there'll be a keynote with a like an Apple Vision without the Pro knocked off it, which there'll be some features taken away from it. Like, they'll probably lose that stupid front-facing screen, so you can see the eyes of the person, the cold, dead, soulless eyes. I
think not my pretty green eyes.
No, not your pretty green eyes. Pretty. But the functionality of what they're trying to do will be in it, and it'll probably cost $1,000. It'll be like,
yeah, you'll get some kind of deal where they'll break it over your bill over time. So they need that. So it's like nods. That I can't believe they didn't do this. So night vision, when you're on your helmet, if you're out for a long time, it wears on your neck. Mm-hmm. So the battery pack typically goes in the back when it clicks in. And it helps
they do that with the Meta head thing.
Yeah, that's key, man, or mess your neck up.
Mm-hmm.
So this is good. What do you think about the fires in Hawaii, Lee?
I think it's interesting that blue things didn't go on fire.
Yeah, I do too. Why are we still making chemical rockets? I don't know.
See, this is a big one for me when it comes to the UFO subject, because unless it's all theater, unless like technology as we know it is part of that theater, it's the props of the set. Right. Musk has a satellite system now that feeds internet to us. If you've ever seen the video of how many satellites there are, how many Starlink satellites there are now, it's insane how many they got up so quickly. It starts in like 2008 or something like that, where there's like they send like 50 up there, and now there's fucking thousands of the things. You know, they're completely mapping the earth. You know, it's you're actually talking like super villain-esque amounts of satellites. So whatever's going on with UFOs, Musk knows about it. So and not just whatever's going on with UFOs, whatever's going on with global technology, he knows about it. No matter what country it is, no matter what government owns it, whether it's a breakaway civilization, whether it's fucking ant people under Antarctica, the Musk knows what's flying around in the sky. Yet these people are still pumping billions into solid fuel rockets.
I think that's because they don't have access to anything else. Like when I see him put stuff about carbon footprint and some of the other shit that he says, and you're just like, well, that's really off key. I feel like whatever deal he has with the governments, occasionally he has to bend the knee.
He has to bat one out. Bat one for the
has
home
to
team.
bat one out. What do you want me to push? Because I'm not doing it all. People, I've thought about this too, man. Pacemakers. Thing is with pacemakers, well, technically they're in the medical world as procedures common. They're not really common in every day. Like what percentage of the population actually has them? This Neuralink is going to replace cell phones. That's how common it'll be. So instead of losing, we lost, a few 100,000 people or whatever with pacemakers. Wow. We lost billions upon billions. Neuralink. Maybe that's the plan, as we come up on solar maximum.
Yeah. You do get the feeling though, and it's not just. I've had this a couple of times over the years, like the technology wise. When I obviously the internet was a thing, I'd heard it, but when the internet first took off, you go, oh, right, it's slow. It's taken me ages to see this picture of boobies, but there's going to be really, really cool stuff happening, anytime soon with this. And then I remember holding it wasn't even an iPhone, the first like tablet type phone. It was a Sony Ericsson with like the little stylus on it. You go, oh, I see where this is going. Same as I said just before with the iPhone. We haven't had any with the iPad. We haven't had any truly industry shaking technology mainstream for a while, and it's the closest thing I think has been VR. But I remember, I bought one of the first Oculus Rifts, the developer kit, where you could do virtually nothing with it, just because it wasn't hugely expensive, and I was just so interested to see like what is virtuality actually going to be a thing now. I remember the guy, Palmer Luckey was his name. He's not part of the company anymore. Meta or Facebook bought him out. But I remember him saying it will be mass adopted, but this is going to be a slow burn. Like VR is going to be around for like a decade before it starts getting cold. It will just be enthusiasts. Then it will be people that think it'll leave the enthusiast sphere when it becomes like financially like viable.
That was cell phones, man.
Yeah.
That was cell phones.
And
You
then
could
it's
have a car
everywhere.
phone or you could have a brick phone. It was, barrier to entry again was price.
Mhm.
And it took another 15 years after that before it was everywhere. And
Yeah.
even then it wasn't. Like, so I remember selling cell phones in the mid thousands, and like not everyone had one. This was new for people. And just throwing them out. Not everyone has one. Kids
Yeah.
have them. That's where it is. It just took time.
And you can buy them so cheap now as well. And that's the thing, is sooner or later it's going to get to the point where you can buy cheap virtual reality stuff. So everyone's going to have access to it. That's when you're going to get into the Black Mirror style thing, because this is my my real worry about augmented reality, and it's going to happen, is people are going to have filters. And if all these, it's going to be, you're going to have this sort of near field communication between headsets, and you buy your filter, and that's then what you look like to other people. And when you consider the damage that filters have done for mostly young girls, just on TikTok and Instagram, because they're so upset with how they look in real life because they don't look how the filters made them look. Imagine when you can have that look, but you walk around with it, and then imagine how it's going to feel when you take the helmet off, or when someone walks up to you without VR. How are you going to deal with those people that can see you how you are, and not how
I'll be
you
living
want
on
to
my
present yourself?
compound, bro. I'll be living on my compound because it is the fall of mankind.
Yeah.
It is the fall of mankind. We're not human anymore. So iPhone changed the internet apps. I agree with that. That was the first streamlined version. I remember when that first phone came out. That was
I
an
think
accident used to change.
what iPhone really did as well, by changing the internet, is social media doesn't take off without mobile
Without it.
phones. Yeah.
Yeah, without it. It just
So,
didn't.
because social media is just internet, it's just MSN Messenger that you check when you get home and you turn your computer on. Social media only becomes truly powerful when it's in your pocket all the time.
Facebook became truly dominant when their app was the smoothest one, and the
Yeah.
MySpace app was just dog shit.
Yeah.
Like you still were having to log into things. I like this. I think all technology, all technology, including things like language or DNA, are meant to change the very fabric of reality. I agree with that. I agree. When you can get everyone on board thinking or believing the same thing, it changes the fabric of our reality.
So where do you think the fabric's going? Do you think there's any way out of this
Hell in
positive?
a handbasket. What's that?
Do you think there's any way out of the situation we're in positively?
I don't think that's the point of this game. I don't think that's the point. Like in our lifetime, I don't think that's the point. Like that comes down to a bigger question. What is the nature of life? Why are we here? What is ours? I think for everybody it's different. And for me, I know I figured out what mine is. And that's cool. I'm comfortable with it. That was some big soul searching. It wasn't an easy thing to do, but for me, I found out why. And
it's to sit in that toilet cubicle with the little hole next to like head height.
100%. Yeah. Like what
And
else am
you
I going to do on a Tuesday
go
afternoon?
to work.
That's right. Listen, if you don't be good at one thing, be great at it. Mine is I'm trying to live as most like I think like so there's interesting things here, like could AI resonate latent signals related to quantum entanglement of the point of conception, i.e. the gateway process, and enhance it. I think the moment AI does that, I think something on the other side of what we understand to be our world will shut it down. In fact, I've long thought since AI, like modern AI, everyone talks about using quantum computing through the way it works inherently, like through the quantum computing, and those, what do they call them, D-wave computers. How do we know that whatever form of life is on the other side isn't just energy sending little bits of itself back into the computer? It's a ghost of the machine that we're inviting in. It makes me think that people talk about like the directed energy weapons. Like this is the good side of the government. I think this is a conspiracy that makes them look good. That why are they direct energy weapon blasting things if that's what they're doing? Maybe something's opening up and they know it, and they're like, "Listen, we're going to lose a lot of people,
down.
but we got to shut this shit down. Like, otherwise, this will reset the world. It's some Nephilim shit, and we got to shut it down. So nuke the area, right, from orbit. I don't know. So I think it was the internet. People still haven't grasped how radical it is compared to anything else ever. Everyone connected suddenly became one culture, so many ramifications. I agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, like, that was a military, the internet was a military communication tool that went public. What do they have now? Yeah.
Yeah. We could never have dreamed when you first went home, plugged your modem, where we'd be at this point in history. Where people like us do shows, like stream it live on the internet. We are so far away from each other, speaking in real time, so it works.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
It's
magic. It's magic, and I like this computing. Computing speed is not needed. They're connected like a demon. I think I'm following that. Some interesting stuff. So most of the AI engines in open source or free since there's no such thing as a free lunch. I think if you watch the Billy Ray interview we did, I said something there, and I believe I heard it somewhere. So I wish it was mine. Why do mouse traps work? Because the mouse never questions why the cheese is free.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he gets his neck snapped.
That's everyone that uses AI right now, whether you're doing it to use like some sort of chatbot or whether you are using it to create something like the art programs or you're training it. Like they say you're training the AI. So you're doing the legwork to make the next version better.
I think consciousness is the ultimate technology. I think that is the point.
Mm-hmm.
I think this reality is interesting and unique and a gift, and it can be a lot of things. And for some people, it's hell, and for others, it's work, and for some, it's a joyride. I think we live in an amazing place.
Was it Mr. Eon that said before about the gateway tapes and like the idea that some sort of technology could be used to make that more effective? Yeah. I think it is because I had I don't actually own it anymore, and as much as I think this stuff is dangerous, I really want the new one. The Meta's VR headset, the Quest 2 I had, the second one.
I have heard this as well, Moody Mongol. And now that you've said it, I'm starting to believe it is in fact true, which is kind of terrifying.
Go on, read it out for the audio people.
Apparently they have quantum tunneling communication now. That's instant communication over any distance, and that's important to understand. Any distance in the universe or potentially beyond. Apparently, smiley face. I've heard that as well.
What I was going to say about the VR headset is when when I was using it a lot, I found I lucid dreamed more.
Yeah.
There was something about doing VR because it is such like a dream-like state, putting this thing on and being in a different place, that makes dreams more controllable.
Yeah, so Mr. Eon put, for those listening at home,
he's pulling us up for not calling him Ian.
Ian. You know what? You're bordering on getting a nickname you don't want. It is indeed magic, the software daemon that you call with the command invoke to do your bidding, then leave with no payment. Yeah, I could definitely see something.
I'll take it. You go into an art program, you conjure something, you leave.
Yeah, there's something to that, I think. And if I had to guess, again, this goes back to conversations we've had, lots of shows in the past we've had. I think some people, if they put in the time and effort, are able to connect in a way that maybe makes the elites or people in charge envious, or maybe they want to harness, but they've realized that they can't really coax those people to do whatever it is they want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be a path of turning potentially people who shouldn't be doing this able to do this. And if you listen again to the Herrera guy, it burns him out and kills him. And if you read various literature about it, people doing consciousness work, remote viewing, psychedelic work, it like cancers and heart attacks and things just start, it burns them up, man. They shouldn't be doing it. Some should. So I mean, I don't know about should, but they can. It'll be interesting to see what they use it for. I think there's something's onto it with that. They're onto it with that. What's this? A multitasking computer operating system. A daemon is a computer program that runs as a background. I've heard of that. Rather than being under the direct control of the interactive user, it does what it's told to do. Oh, which is an interesting mirror of demons and what you would understand them to be and their tasks given.
I just wonder when when the breakout is going to be, and it's going to be obvious what the path is.
I think AI already exists, and again, so let me rephrase that. I don't think true AI, like someone like you or I, like it's digitally created. I believe that it will never exist. I probably will be proven wrong, but I don't. What I do think is it's an unbelievably advanced algorithm that's going to give you whatever you want. You know what I mean? It's the genie in the bottle. It's not really a person, though. It's just like, Star Trek's computer. You just tell it and it makes it happen. I think that's where it's going.
I wonder how quick it's going to be to destroy relationships between people, because we know now that the new iPhone is going to have some sort of like jazzed up Siri. It's they're
going to have Apple
AI
sex
thing.
bots. They're going to have Apple sex bots.
Even
100%.
Even before you fuck it, even before you can put something in it, it's when you think about I think in like a couple of years from now, and I kind of like the idea of this to a certain extent. So no, that
I'm going to stick with real women.
No.
You.
Whoa. I do like the idea of, instead of getting in of jumping in the car and going, like fumbling with my phone to put on JRE, I'll just there'll be a much more. I know you can say play X podcast and stuff like that. I know that's a thing, but there'll be something which gives you more feedback to it. So as soon as you pop your phone in your little cradle, your AI thing pops up, because you shouldn't really be touching your phone when you're driving. And you say play JRE, and my little bot will go, you could listen to that, Lee, but the Nephilim Death Squad have such and such on as a guest, and you'll really like that because you like the last podcast. And then the next thing is, you're listening to a podcast while driving down the road, shooting the shit with your phone, because your phone knows you. Yeah.
It's just an advanced algorithm.
Yeah. But the thing is, and that's fine for me, I think, in that situation, because I think it's fun. I've always found technology as a game, even social media. I still consider Twitter and Facebook as a game that you can just kind of have fun with. But it's those people that spend 8 hours a day at work, hating their job. Then they go home and their wife complains to them because they didn't do the dishes, and this can work for either sex. Don't get fucking at me. And the next thing is, you go, right, I'm just going outside, and you go and sit in your shed or your den, and you put your phone on your table, and your phone turns around and says, she's a real bitch, isn't she, Dave? And you go, yes, she is. And then the next thing is, you have a more understanding relationship with your phone than you do your wife.
Then you order her a body that she can put.
Then you order her a body and you upload it. Yeah, this is so sci-fi, yet feels so tangibly close.
It's Cherry 2000. Cherry,
What's
the
that?
sci-fi movie Cherry 2000.
Never seen
The
it.
guy had a robot wife that was an older model, and it's like in the future when like an apocalyptic, most of the areas are barren and we're just recycling old stuff to like build new stuff. And his sex slave / wife robot like burns out. And he has to hire a finder and go into like the desert wilderness to replace his older model Cherry instead of getting a new one. And he has this little disc, this little like tiny CD that's her consciousness and who she is, so he can put it in her because he doesn't want a real woman. He wants his sex bot.
Then you've got to think is what does that do to children? What happens
What
in
children?
it? Like, no, but we will still. Whether
Somebody
we order
will.
them,
I mean, me. I have a ton of kids.
No, but whether we order them from the shop or something by then.
I don't think they will. I don't think people. Dude, how many dinks are there? Double income, no kids. A lot. I know a lot of people who don't have kids. That's a common thing.
Yeah, I think there'll be a pushback on that though.
I think there is with people like me. Like I have a big family, right? And I think that is the pushback. And the dinks are just they're going to be gone. You know, you leave nothing behind.
They will literally, this is the great thing about the people with purple hair that say I'm not having a child because of climate change.
Cool.
Good,
yeah,
good, because it ends with you.
Yeah, one generation, you're gone.
Yeah,
I like Given Zero Fox. Do physicists want unified theory, or do they want to be the ones that solves it? They want to be the ones that solve it. That's very easy to answer. I'm down with this. Lucid dreaming, astral projection, remote viewing, maybe. Been doing all this since 1990s. It certainly does mess with your lens on reality. Yeah, sort of certain substances. And DW says, I just want Holly from Red Dwarf. I don't know what that is.
Red Dwarf is a British sci-fi comedy show, and it is fucking incredible, Dave.
Mr. Eon is Hilly or Holly. Hilly was the girl. Nerd.
Hey, look.
I like that we're going.
If he wants to guide,
we are male dominated. Yeah.
What?
Jane for Speaker of the Dead, an AI living in Ender's ear. I have no idea what that is.
No.
Anyway, I'm trying to catch up on all these comments.
Yeah, you should watch. You should.
Given retired at 45 with no kids. I have. Yeah, I mean that's definitely no kids. Don't worry, man. I got you covered. I had a bunch.
Luckily enough, you're only 45. You can still have one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a interesting.
Have one now. You'll still be around when they're 40.
Exactly. You're gonna live a long time.
Here's the question, man.
Speaker for the Dead was a sequel to Ender's Game. Never read Ender's Game.
This whole idea of like uploading consciousness.
Yeah.
So let's take it a step further. Because let's think about consciousness of what it actually is, and it is.
You can still have kids, man. You're good to go.
Yeah,
men are capable.
You'll be around till 30.
Exactly. Yeah,
we've just clocked it down. It's fine.
Yeah.
The idea of like taking consciousness, and we'll call consciousness what it is, which is your fucking soul. Yeah. If we, at the age of, let's say 60, we're still 20 years from now, there's been some big jumps in tech, and they're saying, look, like we can jack everybody into the mainframe. You're going to live exactly where you are. Or your family's going to come in. You can all still be together. You don't have to take that gamble. It's easy to say no, Dave, but when the big question mark starts drawing closer and closer and closer, and you start thinking to yourself, going, did I meet God, or was it just high?
Yes and yes.
I can think of something. I can think of things a lot worse than spending eternity with my son.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that. I do get that, but this is, and that's going to come down to a personal faith thing, right? So we're getting deep on that. It's going to come down to your personal faith and what you believe and the experiences you've had, and you have to come to believe, am I just my consciousness, or am I more than that?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, it may be able to download your quote unquote personality, but is it really you?
No, that's what I mean. I'm taking the step to say that when we say we're downloading consciousness, we've worked out what the
How to
soul
get the soul.
is.
We can capture the soul.
We can capture and we
Nope.
can
Because
hard
if the
drive it.
soul is there and it was created, it's supposed to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's supposed to go somewhere else. This is the way of the world. Now, people can do whatever they want. It's not my business to tell them, but I have a meeting set up at another place. So I told you and Ollie about the crazy dream I had, right?
Mm.
I've thought about that a lot. And if that's real, let's say it is, then that's where I'm supposed to be next.
Can you tell the crazy dreams to people?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I had a crazy dream. New Year's morning, I had a crazy dream after the ridiculous show that we had that night, and my slight weird hangover that I had the morning. Like, I just closed the curtains and went back to bed, and I had this wild dream. Maybe it was just a infused dream, but what it was I came to and I'm floating down out of the sky. And it's my point of view. Like, I'm not seeing myself do it. I'm like seeing the ground kind of coming at me, and I'm slowing down as I get closer to the ground. And as I look out and around, I gotta get my hair out of my face. For those listening at home that never seen this, I have long hair. So anyway,
Very shiny.
it is, well, it's healthy, and see, I did it again. So anyway, in the dream, like, I can see the ground coming, and I look out, and there's this village, very like cottage-esque, and there's lots of little gardens, and I look over to the left, and there's these mountains backlit by like this purple blue twilight kind of sky that's stars are moving, and it's a little weird. And there's a lake in the distance that's reflecting the light. I mean, it's brightly lit, but there's no sun. It's very brightly lit, no sun. And as I'm coming down, I slow down and I can see the ground, and there's like a road going into town. There's a fence. There's crops, like some I recognize, and I'm not really looking too much at that. I'm more of like, what the hell's going on? And I land on the ground, and I remember my feet hitting the dirt, and it was kind of cool, and I was crinkling my toes in the dirt, and it's real black, and the dirt was, and I see these people come out like down the road, and they're all like waving at me, and they're not running or anything. They're just kind of like laughing, and they're just taking their time. All adults, men and women. And they're speaking some weird language. And all I can think in my head is like, I have no idea. And then it clicks. I know exactly what they're saying. I totally understand this. And one of the guys that's up in front, he's like, he says something I didn't understand that. And later I thought maybe that's the name. Like, I don't remember the name. And he asked me, hey, you're back. What was it like? It's good to see you again. And he kind of going into this thing like we know each other. And I just looked at him and was like, I know, what are you talking about? And when I'm talking the same language he's talking, which part of my brain recognizes this is not English. Like, some part of it back there is kicking, like we shouldn't be doing this. Like, my brain's mostly kicking, we shouldn't be doing this. And all these other people are there, and they're talking with each other, and they're like, he doesn't remember. And someone in the back's like, yeah, it takes a minute. He'll be all right. And they're all laughing, and everybody's there, and everybody's there. They know me. They know me. I got the feeling I know all of them. And all of a sudden I feel this presence kind of come up from my side and slip under my arm. And it's a woman. It's a woman with like ridiculously dark hair, like the hair that's so dark it has like that blue purple shine to it. You know what I mean? Like, that just catches. And she's kind of there, and I get the instant feeling I know exactly who this is. I know exactly who she is. I'm leaving out some details, but it doesn't matter.
Billy, good to see you, buddy.
Billy Ray Valentine. And so in the dream, it's like I know exactly who she is. And I kind of have her embraced, and we're talking. And she tells me, like, you can't be here. You have to go back. It's not right. I'll see you soon. And she just kind of put a head and hand on my face, and I was just gone. And then I woke up in bed, still slightly hungover. And it felt weird. I told my wife about it the morning. I told you guys about it. And I kept telling my wife little bits, because normally when I have a weird dream, I always tell my wife these things. But there was some part of me in my dream with that woman. It felt like I was somehow betraying my wife somehow. These two things shouldn't be meeting on the same level. And it bothered me for a week, a whole week. That dream, I felt bad. I felt weird. And my wife thought it was funny, kind of. She was a little irritated by it, but she also thought it was funny. And I thought a lot about it, the little details that would pop up. I remember when I put my arm out and I waved at the guy, I looked down at my arm and my arm was like I spent a lot of time at CrossFit. And when I was looking at all the people, I noticed all of these people spend a lot of time at CrossFit. And everybody was wearing robes, a white, I hate to call it a toga, but it's kind of like a fucking toga. And the only thing that was different were the sash belts people were wearing. Some were different colored ropes with different colored ends. Some were literally fabric sashes, all different colors. And everybody was happy. And the other thing is, I didn't see any kids there. There were no children in the dream. It was just all adults in this beautiful, huge valley in this little village wherever all these people lived. And it felt like everybody knew me and they were waiting on me to come back. And this woman clearly knew me and I clearly knew her. And she was like, yeah, you have to go back now. It's not time. And it was a trip. I thought about it for a month. It's still today I thought about it. I've had a few dreams that impacted me, but that's definitely one of them. And it was fucking weird. And again, I could see my hands, I could see my feet, which aren't normal things in dreams. Recall of all these people and their faces, and I don't remember any of these, ever meeting any of these people. And the way they were kind of not laughing at me, but laughing with me, that I was if you've ever been hit in the head a little too hard, you've had a light concussion and everything's just a little foggy, just a little slow, right? That's how it was. Things weren't running at 100%, and they were teasing me about it. And the only word that I didn't understand is what I believed to be whatever my name, whatever they were calling me was. It wasn't translating. And in my head the whole time, it's you shouldn't be talking to these people. We shouldn't be here. And then when she came up, she's like, you need to go back. And I went back. It was weird. It was weird and comforting. When I landed on the dirt road, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. This is, I'm wildly comfortable and home.
It sounds like what you hear from people that have near-death experiences.
Yeah.
People always report that when they come back, they're not scared when they're there. They feel familiar with the environment.
Mm-hmm.
I've often thought you were a Star Trek guy, weren't you?
Mm-hmm.
See, I've never been a huge Star Trek guy, but I think if you want to talk about films that know something, and whoever's wrote the films have popped something in there, some juicy truth nuggets, it's Star Trek Generations and whatever the Nexus was.
Yeah, I could see that. Looking back on, now that you bring that up, it reminds me the Q thing, when he went to where all the Q hang out and they were all bored, right? Everyone's just, because they've walked across the universe so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. This was a trip, man. It was a trip. It was emotional. I'm a pretty lucid dreamer. I have pretty wild dreams, but this thing just hit different. It just hit different. Not only that, if a woman was going to be in my dream, this is the first time it's ever been a dark-haired woman. This, full disclosure on Dave, probably too much information. Blondes and redheads have been most of my life.
Midgets,
all of my life.
As well.
What's that?
Midgets mostly as well.
Well, they're funner. Yeah, spin them. But so the fact that this chick had, and the thing is, I had feelings. I had feelings, real feeling, I know you. You know what I mean? This is where I'm supposed to be. And it was intense and it was real. And like when I woke up, there was like a longing, like, oh shit, like I left her there. You know what I mean? And like my wife was kind of laughing about it, and I think she could tell by when I was telling her about it, like there was something more. And she's like, "You're telling me you have like an alien space wife?" And I'm like, "I did not say that. That's not real." And she was laughing about it, but I think it also kind of pissed her off a little. And I had to tell her, I was like, "Listen, whatever this chick was to me, at the end of the day, she kicked me out of the village and sent me back. So clearly, we're not that close."
Well, we've all had those dreams, haven't we, where you've met someone and there's been like an intense like emotional connection with them. And that's really weird. You know, it's something we don't talk about enough, isn't it? Is the idea that like not only can our minds, whatever consciousness comes from, it can create personalities. We know that because we've all got one. But it can also create multiple personalities because that's what we have when we have dreams. We have fully, well,
Is that
maybe,
what we have when we dream? I don't think
well,
so.
okay, maybe we are interacting with actual personalities and actual consciousnesses.
Because we don't know what's out there, man. I think some of it, yeah, it's your brain trying to figure things out and run through problems. 100%. You ate something bad and it's firing chemicals in a weird way. And then sometimes you have that dream when you're like, this is not a normal dream. And maybe it comes to pass, whatever. I like this. I used to have intense, this is DW, I used to have intense emotional dreams about UFOs when I was a kid. When I woke up, it always took me a few minutes to realize and wasn't real and just a dream. You want to come on the channel and talk about it? Because that sounds like alien abduction.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are your thoughts on abductions?
It's
a good quote there. I like it.
It's a good question. It goes from VR to AI to Cylons. How do you know we're not Cylons?
Yeah, I see. That's what I find weird as well. Like the UFO things, stuff. Now it's all a case of it's AI. It's like it's advanced AI that's been left from another civilization. You're just saying that, motherfucker, because we have AI now. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I said, I used to see static in darkness. I still do. And could fly and build 3D models made of static through my room at night. Being a kid was fun. Maybe just
I used to
more
have to do that. Yeah, I can put my hand out in front of me and make stuff in my mind seem like it's there.
Cognitive dissonance creates splitting to deal with the fudging of logic. Yeah, I mean, that's a very psychoanalytic way to say it, but is that real? And this, like, what we're describing isn't a split. Like, you're not breaking off from yourself to commune with yourself. I don't give a lot of credit to psychology or psychotherapy or even especially psychiatry. Like, the drugs they use are 20% effective. Some of the methods they have for trauma are great, but those are age-old and tested. As far as people that go to therapy, like if I'm going to therapy to get better, it is not in the best interest of the therapist that you get better. It is in the best interest of the therapist that you get more fucked up and you come more often. Nice. You ever seen with your eyes shut? I had it a few times lately. I don't know what that means. Rotary motion. Sorry about it. Still, yeah, but that was a crazy dream, man. The dream I had, it was fucking nuts. It's still fucking nuts. It still haunts me. I still think about it during the day. I still think about that.
Do you think about it at night?
Sometimes before I go to bed. Yeah, I think about it every day. I'll say that I think about it every day. Every day since I've had it, it has crossed my mind.
See, that's
in a weird way.
Right. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Like like people turn around and say, I think about that every day. Most time people say, I think about something every day. They really don't. They just think about it now and again.
Oh, no, I think about it every day.
Yeah, I think about my trip nearly every day.
Which one?
When I was in the US, the big one.
Oh yeah, I bet you do. That was intense.
Yeah, nearly every day. Right, it's whenever I'm doing something and there's a bit of downtime, that thought sneaks in, almost like it's there. in RAM waiting to be processed. And every spare moment that I'm not thinking about doing something else, it just logs back into that memory to try and process it more.
It's when you have experiences like that, they feel more real than this.
Mm.
And it's a hard thing to explain for someone who hasn't done it, who
Yeah.
hasn't been there. And yeah.
And it's wild that they feel more real than reality, yet when you come out of them, they're harder to hold on to than a dream sometimes.
Yes, my mom has Parkinson's, and the meds they give her, it's a horrible thing. The meds they give her actively prevent her from trying any other remedies. Side effects can kill her. I'm very sorry for your mom and for you. And yeah, man, that's rough. Here's one. I've had 2 intense dreams that in hindsight seem like downloads. One was with aliens. I was in their ship and they called me half-breed and monkey boy. Man, they sound like dicks.
Yeah, that's
was
not nice,
mid-90s.
aliens.
Yeah, what ass wipes, man. You know what? Kick him in the dick next time, bro. All right? Don't be afraid. You go active on that.
Or the egg sack, one of the two.
Yeah, whatever the hell it is they have. No, I've had intense dreams. Nothing like that. Like what I've had other ones, but those are more personal. This one was just the latest one, and it is the freshest on the docket. And it was something. It has been something. It does grace, my memories. It's usually like if I don't have to rush out of bed in the morning, which is usually only the weekends, it'll drift into my mind. It usually drifts in before sleep, and usually like when I'm driving down the road to go get my kids in the afternoon, it'll float in there. Like those are the most likely times. Like it logs in. Like I can see the valley, I can see the mountain, I can see the sky, I can see that fucking massive, beautiful lake, and just this perfect little village, and all these people. I mean, there's anywhere between 80 and like 120 people. I couldn't count. But in those group sizes, when they get about that, like when you run an estimation, you don't know. Like a group of 200, you can tell is a bit bigger than a group of 100. But there's those blocks of 40 that things change. And you just can't. And for me, I can't anyway.
I keep thinking I wish I could remember the.
He said they were dicks. I made it funny when I woke up.
Yeah, I would say visions is the right. I just mean visions as in I was showing images of things. I don't mean visions as in like future events. I wish I could remember those more. They feel hidden for a reason as well.
Probably for a reason.
I'm not supposed to be able to remember those bits.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's probably for a reason. I mean, that's the thing, man. Is I went down the path on consciousness and playing with my own consciousness, and it puts new meaning on things. It puts new spin on things. And the one thing that's come out of it is I enjoy being a husband and a father more. I enjoy being a friend more. I am actively trying to be kinder to people more than I ever have in my life. And it's 100% from exploring my own consciousness and trying to understand these things. And I realized that this world that we're here, forever long we're here, how we treat each other matters. The love you give is the most important thing. It's the only thing that matters that you can give anyone. That support, that kindness, listening to someone, being there for someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes on both counts.
This could be a good show, actually. Like if any of our listeners out there have like interest in dreams that they want to that they want us to go through, we could do a dream show. I think that'd be quite interesting. Like we could do. So if you want to throw us anything like that, email them to alienaddict.co.uk.
Definitely.
Give us any details. Give us any details you want to share. If there's anything you don't want shared, make sure you include that as well. But yeah, if we could get like 10, 15 of you to put something through, that could definitely be a show. I'd quite enjoy that.
Oh, I would.
Ollie has a dream where he has normal sized hands.
Has it all the time. It's a nightmare though because he can't lift them.
I have a dream where you all go and buy T-shirts. Any of these T-shirts would be included in my dream. I have dreams where you go to the podcast and you leave us a 5-star review. I have dreams where you all, at the moment which you're watching this, like and share the video and leave a comment on whatever platform you happen to be watching this on. Leave us a comment after the fact. What I've noticed is that the views we get on Rumble, we get twice as many views as we have follows on Rumble. If you're watching this on Rumble, go click the follow button. You know, you've listened to us for 2 hours. You're probably going to listen to us for another 2 hours at some point. I don't know if you want to bring this up, Dave, before we start wrapping.
Yeah, there's a couple I want to touch on. Given Zero Fox said, other download dream was an out of context dream about the Clintons and their creepy power. It was truly what the fuck. And then I woke up. Squatch L is so evolved and woke. You know me. And then Old Shoe says he's got dozens. He is definitely going to be emailing. It's fantastic. Yes, send them in. That would be an awesome show. We should start that earlier. That would be a deep one.
The other idea we've had lately as well, which hopefully if you guys are watching, you'll come along with us for the ride on this one. But obviously we had the old pizza fence chat before, which we couldn't have. We could do a show where we do the first hour on YouTube and then the second hour, first hour on YouTube, Rumble, and X, and then the second hour exclusive to Rumble. So we could get a bit more off the chain about what we're talking about. I think that's a good idea. I would like to know if you guys think it's a good idea. So we could maybe do that in the next couple of weeks if you choose to accept the terms, and the terms are you must come to another platform to watch us.
Follow us on X. You can talk to us there. We're pretty easy to talk to.
I'm addicted to Twitter. I'm addicted to Twitter. I'm not even gonna lie. As soon as we finish this, I will get myself together. I'm gonna go to bed, and I will probably scroll through X for a little bit before I go to sleep because I can't stop myself. It's not good. It's not good, but it is what it is. Thanks, Dave. I think it's been fun. I hope other people watching has been fun. We seem to have kept people here, which is half the battle. We will be back tomorrow with John Stewart, who's going to be talking to us about the alien interview and the Hunt and Victor thing. It was nice speaking to him last time. I think it's going to be a good show tomorrow. Yeah. I've got some extra questions I want to ask him, and I'm interested to see what he thinks, where he thinks this sits in the current UFO conversation, like this current like disclosure conversation. So yeah, I think that'll be a fun one. Other than that, go do all the stuff. Like I said, just go
buy
share it, like it, buy a shirt, do all the stuff. We want to do this full time. If we do this full time, you'll get more stuff.
Yeah, and don't forget, buy a lot of shirts.
All of them.
All of them.
Christmas. Buy them now for Christmas.
Yeah.
Then eat loads so you need to buy more. Bye-bye.
You know, truth be told, my wife's still kind of pissed about my dream wife.
Yeah, I would be as well. Like you're clearly in love with your dream. You literally your dream woman. That's where it comes from.
Boom. We figured something out. She still sent me back here. Like, she didn't let me stay. Like, we're clearly having problems.
Maybe that's it. You've got such a dysfunctional relationship in the shadow realm. She sent you to Earth for
Figure my
space.
shit out. So put a whole new spin on sleeping on the couch.